Outside of his new room, the courtyard rang with shouts and steel. Elias sat down, closed his eyes. He could feel it again, that pulse deep under his ribs. The thing that had woken in the alley, the thing that had guided him through the mist. The mark on his arm pulsed in time with the pulse in his chest, like blood flowing from his heart to the rest of his body and back again. This storm energy, or whatever it was, acted in much the same way it seemed. Somewhere outside, a breeze stirred, and beyond the wall, someone watched from shadow, an older disciple in an ash-gray cloak. The boy's back was to him, but the mark, the presence, a storm born. The disciple narrowed his eyes. Let's see if this one survives the week. The next morning came with no bell, no trumpet, just a knock, sharp, deliberate, on Elias's door. He blinked awake, still wearing the robe he'd half slipped on the night before. The floor was cold. The mark on his forearm had dimmed, but it hadn't vanished. It never did now, just pulsed like a second heartbeat. He opened the door. A disciple stood outside, tall and narrow-eyed, wearing an ash-gray cloak over a loose-fitting ash-gray shirt and pants. "Trial square," the disciple said. "You've been summoned." Elias didn't ask by who. He just nodded and followed. They walked through a maze of courtyards and narrow stone halls until the path opened onto a wide arena, circular, tiered with steps, and worn with the scars of 1,000 battles. Other disciples were already gathered, sitting on the steps or leaning against the stone walls. Some wore armor, some were barefoot. All of them wore the same ash-gray uniforms. All of them watched. A few of them were whispering. "That him?" Storm touched. "Another stray. He won't last." In the center of the arena stood an instructor. She was short, broad-shouldered, with silver hair cut close and eyes that had seen too many fights to flinch. Her robes bore no faction emblem, just a single horizontal slash across the front. The silver plate on her headband bore a familiar symbol, though the mountain cleaved in two. She turned when Elias stepped into the square. "You're the one from the gate?" Elias nodded once. "Yes." "Name?" "Elias Reign." A pause. She studied him, then looked out toward the gathered disciples. "Outer disciples," she called. "This is your first lesson. Kyōtei doesn't hand out power. You earn it with blood, breath, and broken bones." She pointed to Elias without looking. He stepped through the pathless gate, which means he's earned the right to stand here. But standing is not enough. She turned to the group. "Who will test his footing?" Several stood, some grinned, but one moved faster. A girl with a short black braid, tall and wiry, with a strange scar tracing her jaw like a stitched smile. She wore no emblem, but her presence was sharp, focused, dangerous. "I'll test him." The instructor nodded. "Ryza, step forward." Elias stepped into the center of the ring. Ryza mirrored him. No bow, no salute, just silence. And then, she moved, fast. Elias barely ducked the first strike, a sweeping kick aimed at his ribs. He caught her second with his forearm, pain jolting up his elbow like a lightning bolt. She was strong. Faster than the storm-forged figure in the mist? No, not that fast. But she was real, trained, intentional. He twisted, trying to slide back, but her foot caught his ankle and sent him sprawling. The disciples laughed. Ryza circled, never rushing, never speaking. Elias rolled to his feet, breath shallow, hands raised. His instincts itched, his mark pulsed. He waited. She lunged again, 2 jabs, 1 feint. He slipped to the side, catching the rhythm. The 3rd strike came, and he caught her wrist. Something inside him shifted. He didn't throw her. He moved her, redirecting her momentum like wind bending a branch. She stumbled back, eyes narrowing. The crowd quieted. Elias exhaled. Ryza grinned. "Not bad, Storm Boy." Then she came again. They traded blows, fast, hard, unforgiving. He blocked with elbows, dodged with inches, struck when he could. But he was tiring. The fight with the storm wraith, the climb, the walk, the weight of this new world. His body wasn't ready yet. Ryza ducked under a clumsy swing and slammed her palm into his chest. He dropped. The breath left his lungs like a wave crashing into stone. Silence. Then the instructor raised her hand. "Enough." Ryza stepped back, not gloating. Elias rolled to his knees. His chest ached, his pride throbbed, but he wasn't broken. He stood, barely. The instructor tilted her head. "You stayed conscious. You adapted. That's more than most." She turned to the others. "He'll live." Then to Elias. "Welcome to Kyōtei." Elias nodded once in acknowledgement. The instructor turned back to the surrounding disciples as Elias made his way to the sidelines. "Now, the new training year begins. If this is your first year," she said, glancing at Elias as she did so, "you'll need to undergo the initial testing phase to gauge your strength and affinities. Report to the new student testing facility. There is a map at the edge of this courtyard if you don't know where that is. Everyone else, report to the advanced testing facility. Questions? No? Good." The disciples, dozens of them all in the same ash-gray uniforms, slowly filtered out of the courtyard. Elias made his way to the edge of the courtyard, where a large, hand-carved and colored map hung from the wall. A large group of students were already gathered around it. The courtyard was chaos, disciples clustering around the carved wooden map, voices rising and falling like waves against stone. Elias stood quietly at the edges, eyes tracing lines, symbols, and runes that were still foreign to him. The mark on his arm pulsed faintly beneath his sleeve, a rhythmic reminder of the storm he carried inside. "Lost?" said a voice behind him, sharp but not entirely unkind. He turned to see a girl roughly his age, with deep brown hair tied in a single braid, arms folded and eyes appraising. Her robes were immaculate, bearing the quiet confidence of someone who belonged. "A bit," Elias admitted quietly. She stepped closer, glancing briefly at the map before gesturing eastward, toward a squat, moss-covered dome half hidden among the academy's gardens. "New student testing is that way. Resonance chambers in the dome. You won't miss it. Just follow the nervous whispers." He smiled slightly despite himself. "Thanks." "Don't thank me yet," she said, already turning away. "Save it for after you survive."